So some people may think, well, didn't I already see the documentary Raised on Porn? I think I got it. Raised on Porn doesn't just cover what's in that documentary, it covers what's in 6 documentaries and way, way more. So the whole point was that with our documentaries, we're very limited in terms of the story that we're able to tell. Whereas with the book, we were able to go much more in depth and a little bit broader in scope. So I think that it will be a valuable resource for a wide demographic of people. First of all, just for anyone who has been exposed to pornography, I think it's really helpful to get a framing of what that experience was, whether you've seen it once or 100 times or 10,000 times. So I think it's going to provide a framing for people who have had exposure to porn that were affected by it in some way. Maybe it created shame, confusion. Maybe they can't get that image out of there. They haven't been able to reconcile what it was because there was also a pleasure component to it. And what did I even see? So I think it will speak to the audience of people who have had exposure to pornography, which is basically everyone, not every single person, but 99.9% of people. And so I think it'll be helpful to that demographic of people. I think that parents will definitely want to get a hold of this. Don't wait till you're in the crisis with your child to then go get the resources. Mm-hmm. Get the resources now, because a lot of things that I talk about in the second half of this book are preventative measures for, how to protect your children from exposure to porn and its influence. But then also like the scenario of, okay, it's oftentimes not a matter of if, but when. So you are more prepared for what seems to be likely an inevitable situation where at some point your child has some inadvertent exposure to pornography or maybe intentional. Pornography has affected relationships. This is something that doesn't get talked about very much. So a lot of times we talk about porn's impact on like an individual, people's struggle with porn or whatever it is. And then we talk a lot about, childhood exposure to pornography. What doesn't get talked about a lot is the betrayal trauma that people experience in a relationship when it comes out that their partner has been consuming pornography. And the person who experiences that betrayal trauma is not a conscious choice. And a lot of times what happens is the person experiencing that betrayal trauma, first of all, you don't get to decide to experience that or not. It is something that can invoke. The shame and isolation around that is, I'm experiencing betrayal trauma, but I don't feel like this is a legitimate reason to feel this, so I don't feel validated in what I'm feeling. So then that person becomes isolated with that very intense and what can become toxic trauma. This book is really helpful for people who are in relationships to frame for them what you're experiencing, what you're going through, and to create a sort of, I don't want to say middle ground, but to create a framework for couples to tackle this issue together. They may be in 2 different places. One partner may think one thing, the other one may think another thing. I would say, get this book, read through it, and understand each other better to initiate a dialogue. If you're going to hope to find a way to reconcile your relationship. Now, some people out there go, well, I'm in a relationship, but neither of us has ever struggled with pornography. And I would say to that, wonderful, amazing, that's great. But I guarantee you 2 or 3 other couples that have. Mm-hmm. So one of the most common things that happens to me is people go, hey, such and such couple is going through this thing and they need to know what to do around porn. So then I'll just parse out these few chapters and say, here, send them this. So part of it is for people that are in relationships, not just for your own situation, but how can I be helpful to people around me that are struggling in their relationships?